Hey, hey. Uh, so I went to go see the Backrooms movie recently, and I kind of wanted to talk some about it. Not really about the plot, just like I did with Iron Lung. This discussion should be spoiler free, so don't worry about that. This is a longer video. It will not perform well in the algorithm. That is okay. But it should be spoiler free, and absolutely, if you can see it in theaters, you should. I think it's worth the watch. Um, Indie films like this kind of always impact me, especially ones created by YouTubers, people who found their start on YouTube, because that sort of thing just really interests me. YouTube certainly isn't quite as accessible as it used to be, but it's still way more accessible than other traditional forms of media. Um, no, the film just really spoke to me in some ways, I guess. One way in particular with Clark. I found his character relatable at the beginning with his struggle between like what he needed to do to keep himself, like afloat in capitalism versus like what his passion and desire was. In some ways, I found that sort of relatable up until the dinner scene, which then made me wonder if I was just whining. So that was like, and I'm not gonna say because I said I'm not gonna spoil, but the dinner scene, watch it, watch the movie if you haven't. It's absolutely worth it. Um, I'm actually a really big fan of liminal spaces. I was a fan of the Backrooms before it was cool, really before Kane Pixel's version became so popular. And like I knew it as a sort of like open source community thing, kind of similar to SCP before Kane Pixel's version. And I'm familiar with like the several different versions. And I'm a really big fan of the Backrooms and liminal spaces because I feel like part of the reason why liminal spaces work so well is because they tap into like really nostalgic, um, almost like bittersweet memories. Like I love liminal spaces, weird core, dream core. These are all aesthetics that I love, and also like I think I would like to make a game in one of these aesthetics someday. Do you now see how many game ideas I have? Do you now see why it's so important to me to make my game ideas? Because there's so many different types of games I would like to make. One of which includes maybe not necessarily liminal spaces, but weird core, dream core, and liminal spaces fall underneath those cores. Now, the gag is, I don't actually really like horror movies. At least, I don't think I like horror movies because I say that, but I'm now a fan of Iron Lung and The Backrooms, both of which are horror movies. I think I really don't like a lot of Strawberry Jam, censoring myself because I'm still a small channel, but I think I don't like a lot of like that, especially if it's gratuitous. But like with The Backrooms, it was very much like they had a good mix of like psychological horror, suspense, not a bunch of like cheap jump scares, you know what I mean? And I think maybe I do like that kind of horror. Child, maybe I am a fan of horror. I don't know. To me, guess I still don't consider myself a fan of horror, and I think it's an accomplishment that like I don't consider myself like a horror fan, especially I don't like a lot of tropes that are in especially a lot of older horror, but I did greatly enjoy the Backrooms movie. So, either I'm a horror fan in denial or that's a very big accomplishment in my opinion to make me like your movie that's in a genre that I don't even really typically like. Something else I noticed while I was watching the Backrooms is that the theater was so full. This movie is doing very well. And that's really exciting because I like to see indie productions do well. As per usual, seeing someone on the same platform as me or someone from the same platform as me have their indie production do well is very exciting. Um, the theater was so full, and I was like, man, like that's so cool that this many people want to see the story that he made, see the art that he made. And just like with Iron Light, it got me thinking, like, could I get people to show up for one of my stories? But it also made me think about like how big and exciting this must be for Kane Pixels. And he's pretty young; he's only like 20. Um, and it had me thinking about my own art and wondering about like like what would be success for me? What do I want to do with my art? And I know what I want to do with my art. I want to make games and I want the games to be successful. But I'm like, why? Like, why do I want my games to be successful? Which is duh, obviously people want to succeed. But like, I don't really know why I want success, if that makes sense. Like, do I want notoriety? Not necessarily. I don't even really want to be a public figure, aside from the fact that I think being a public figure would help grow my art. I'm like, I guess I want attention, but like, why would a bunch of attention on my game make it successful? I want attention, but not just for attention's sake. I'm like, okay, so imagine your game does succeed, and a lot of people are talking about it, and a lot of people are enjoying it. What then? What about that makes it successful, is what I'm trying to say. I don't think my motivation is money either, because, like, obviously, I would like to make money from my games because that makes it viable for you to continue to make games. But like, if I could have a lot of people enjoy my games but I wasn't really making money from the games, that would be okay. In fact, I would rather make less money and reach a larger audience than have more money with a more niche audience, and that makes sense. So I don't think money is my main motivator either. But again, I'm like, how much talk around the art that I create makes it successful? What level of success do I want to reach? Like, in my mind, what is like the loftiest, most what's the word? When something unrealistic, the most unrealistic like level of success. And I would say like being like one of like the very big, very known YouTubers. Like, to me, like, I don't realistically think that that's ever going to happen. When I say big, I mean like enough to just scratch the surface of mainstream. So like, even if you don't watch Markiplier, you've probably heard his name once or twice in passing. Even if you don't, you're not, even people who aren't into like internet culture are tangentially aware of like who Mr. Beast is. That is, to me, is like the loftiest, most unrealistic goal. And again, it's not even, that itself is not the goal. I think it would just be an indication of where I am at. And obviously, I'm super happy about the audience I already do have and want to continue to grow that audience. But it's not the growth itself that is the success. It would just be indicative of reaching the level that I want to get to. But I'm just not sure where that level is and what even is actually possible. I think if my game moved people, if people were touched by it, if people made videos like talking about it, I would consider that a success. And I actually kind of worry because this is my first game and it's not going to be anything too spectacular. I'm not scared that I can't do it. I'm scared that I'm going to do it and nobody notices. I need to believe in myself more. I I put down my own ideas a lot. Like with my game, you guys are so nice with your comments about my game. A lot of times I think I'm like, this is dumb, or like it's been done before. It's thematically simple. People are not gonna want to like. Yeah, like a couple of people might connect with it, babe. You might get like two comments on Steam when you release it. Um, it will be a forgettable blip. People will not talk about it. And here's the thing: I understand that it is possible and may even be likely for my very first game. But I don't want everything I do to be a blip, and I just want it to do well. But also makes me think like I want success. And I don't have a problem with working hard towards success. I'm already working hard. But I'm like, why does my story deserve to be successful over anyone else's? There's just so many underrated artists online. I see them all the time. Beautiful pieces, beautiful stories, beautiful world building, and it barely has any recognition. I'm like, why does my story deserve to be told any more than any of these people's stories? Because I know people say hard work, but like, yeah, the other people are also working hard. And it's frustrating because this rule does not apply to other things. Like the Backrooms, I think is like a worthy piece of media. I think it's a good story that it wants to tell. I thought the movie had like a lot of very wonderful, visually striking, and the concept is simple enough, but also interesting enough to like grasp you. It's a story worth being told. I can't tell if my stories are worth being told because to me they're really important. To me they're really like groundbreaking, especially because I don't mean to, but I accidentally put a lot of myself into all of my stories. Like, if you've seen my video designing characters for Kiki's Bakery, originally it was just supposed to be a cute baking game. There was not going to be any of the anything else in it. But as I was making the character, Kiki's Bakery was largely inspired by Bond's Bakery, and I was thinking like, oh, well, if our main character here is a human in the town of bipedal animals, then if she's the only human, that makes her a minority, and I'm a minority. So then I started writing her with a minority's experience, and I want to be careful to not make my characters too self-inserty, but I slowly started to put pieces of myself in the story, and that ends up happening a lot. Different pieces of myself will end up in my stories, so they feel really profound and important to me. But I'm like, will other people find that same level of value in them, or will they just be like, yeah, we've heard this one before, or like, you know, maybe I'm just being too mean to myself. Like I said, I'm trying to work on believing in myself more, and I think I am better than I am in the past. It's just it's hard to tell if my ideas are actually good or if the things that I'm saying are worth listening to. I wonder if I'm going to make it. I don't know. I really don't know. Part of me really does believe in myself and think that like I do have things to share that are worth a value. People will connect with it. People will like the story. And it's not whining for me to have these strong ones. It's not selfish or bad for me to do well because I do think my heart is in the right place with my motivations. The other part of me is like, girl, there's a million folks just like you out there hoping and striving. What makes you think your hard work is more deserving than any of their hard work? Seeing indie productions do well makes this weird feeling in me because I'm happy and excited, but it also makes me a little bit sad. It's like it feels like having a bunch of friends that are all a year older than you and watching them all graduate before you, and so you're trying to like catch up, and you're like, I should be there, I should be there too. When I see like these indie productions, I'm like, I want these people to be my peers. I would like to be a fellow artist amongst these people, albeit not via film. And it feels like I'm falling behind, which I know is ridiculous because I'm decently young. And I understand that comparison is the thief of all joy, but Kane Pixels is like 20. And I turned 26 this year. And I know that's very young, and I shouldn't compare because everyone has a different life journey. But I'm like, what if I don't make it? What if I make my games and nobody plays them? Or, you know, like what if I'm 35 is not very old, but like what if I'm 35 and still in the exact same position that I am in now? And not because I didn't try hard, not because I didn't work hard. Like what if it just doesn't happen? My biggest fear is dying. Sorry, I know that's like really intense. My biggest fear when it comes to my art is dying before I even get the chance. Like, I have so many stories and things that I want to share that are so important to me, and I think I believe that the other people could find value in it. If I die, humans are so temperate. We are so extremely fragile. It is insane. If I die, all of my stories die with me before I ever get to tell any of them. And the fact that I know that one day when I eventually pass, I will probably be in the middle of doing something or telling a story that I won't get to finish is extremely upsetting. I don't want to live every day thinking about the day I go upstairs. And that's not how I'm living. But I think part of my like feeling of like I should be there already. I need to catch up is because I feel like I'm racing against a clock, a timer with the time that I can't see yet. And you know, God willing, like I expect to live to my 70s, but everybody expects to live to their 70s. And I guess the world doesn't truly miss anything huge. Like even when I am eventually gone, there will be other storytellers, other people who tell stories similar to mine. The world doesn't care whether or not I tell my stories. I have to make them care. Everything I do, every motivation I have is in service of pursuing this dream. So like when I wake up in the morning, I get up and I brush my teeth and I go to work because I know that going to work is going to provide a roof over my head and food for me to eat and take care of the lower part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs for me. so that I can make games. Like when I do well at my job, at my big girl job, and I work hard and I want to be the best engineer that I can be because this job affords me to live my life and affords me to have a little bit of time for my hobbies, which is game development. So by being a good engineer, I'm giving myself space to be a good employee. When I'm currently like in a calorie deficit and I'm trying to lose weight and I'm trying to take care of myself. I take care of myself because if I'm not taking care of myself like nutritionally, then I won't have the energy to work on games. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when I'm up too late and I'm like, you need to go to bed, self, or else you will wake up late and you won't have the energy to work on games. Everything is in service of pursuing this dream. I've talked before about how a couple of Markiplier's videos are important to me. The Believe in Yourself video is important to me, and I recently watched his old video on pain, which was also pretty profound to me. But in one of the things he mentions in the Believe in Yourself video is he mentions having this passion, and it's what drives you. It's what you dream about at night. It's what you wake up in the morning for, and that's what game development and storytelling through game development is to me. And anytime I see an indie production doing well, which is always a good thing, but it makes me think about that and my own stories. And if I could fill up a room, several rooms, with people who like my stories. I promise I am working on it. The game is actually going really well. It's just life is a lot and trying to I'm telling you, like every moment I can, if I'm not handling a life responsibility like my job or cooking or cleaning or something like that, I am game developing. Everything is about the game. Everything is about the game. Not everything, everything. Obviously, I still prioritize like relationships and stuff over it. Um, God, I hope I can make it. I wonder, I need to stop saying I'll wonder if I'll make it. I am going to make it. I wonder to which degree I will make it. If even just one person plays my game and it has a profound impact on them, I think that would still be a version of success. It would be harder for me to know that, right? Like if one person plays one of my games and that, profoundly impacts them, but they don't talk about it or make a video about it or anything, it's harder to talk about if there's not a community around it. So I wouldn't know that I had succeeded, but I would have. And then if I could impact multiple people, several people, especially if something that I make could mean to someone else what other artists' work means to me, that would still be a version of success. That would still be success. I would be successful then. And I don't just want to keep talking about doing it, which I say, but I am doing it. I am working on the game and I'm working hard. There's just so many other demands that life has. How is everybody else doing this? I guess everyone else has different life circumstances and stuff, but I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard. And I still feel like I'm not pushing myself enough. So as many as I can, I would like to get them out. I hope that's a healthy way to think about that anyways. So all of that to say, anytime an indie production does well, it puts stuff like that in my mind. But I'm gonna choose to believe in myself. And it'd also be super awesome if you believed in me. It's extremely helpful. I actually don't want to admit how many times I've repeated there's a part in Markiplier's Believe in You video where he says it twice. He says, I believe in you. So if I believe in you, guy. If you don't believe in yourself yet, that's okay. I believe in you. I'm trying to believe in myself. And I will get my game made. And the very first thing I do does not have to be some giant success. That's also, like, I want to make that clear. That's not my expectation at all. I just know that I want my art to mean something to somebody, to some people, to garner an audience. I don't know why that gives it meaning. I don't know why necessarily my art making someone else feel something is what makes me consider it a success or meaningful. Maybe I should be able to understand that it's meaningful on its own. I guess we'll just see how far we could go. I like making these sorts of videos sometimes, just like more so talking about what's on my mind and sharing some of my passions, I guess. So thank you for listening to me. If you made it to this point in the video, I want to thank you so much for watching, and that was really it. I'll see you next time.